It's Aleya Antoine. You're listening to Tease podcast. Everyone loves the tease. Stop. But don't get too excited.
Comparison will always cloud the call you have on your own life, and like it doesn't matter if it took one person 10 tries and you 1,000 tries. Like it's just not your journey. It's just not your story. You know what I mean?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tease podcast. Happy Tuesday, bitches. Today, we are joined by a very special guest, one of my good friends, Emily.
Hey.
Hi, Emily.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
I am so happy that you're on here. I literally was so nervous to ask you at first.
Stop.
You're a Virgo, so I was like, oh, if she actually doesn't want to do it, like, she's going to tell me that she doesn't want to do it. So
For sure.
Like, yeah.
But I'm very grateful, so I appreciate you.
I'm glad. So me and Emily met recently through a mutual friend, and I feel like when I meet people, not in a rude way, in general, like I've never like really been like, oh my god, they're so cool. But when I met you, I was like, I'm obsessed. She's so cool.
You're so sweet. No, it makes sense. I feel like it's just being selective of like your energy and like who you allow people to, you know, kind of like vibe with, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like if you like get like too involved with someone's energy and it's a bad energy, then you'll end up like being like that. And so, I mean, now it's like taught me how I should be with like future friends. Cause like in the past with some friends, I'd be like, ooh, but I still like you.
Well, I feel like something that I like loved and noticed about you is that you are very friendly to anybody you meet right away. And I think that we don't see that so much anymore. Like there's people who tend to be very guarded, or like they, for whatever their reasons are, and you have such like a passion for making people feel comfortable, as you've said. And I felt that from the beginning, and I think that that will be the gateway for you to meet like any genuine person, really.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, because in the past that definitely was like my Achilles heel. Like it was like my strength and my weakness at the same time. And I was saying, I think I've said on the pod, as y'all know, like when I first moved to Vegas, I literally went into hibernation mode. Like I was like, I don't trust anyone. I don't want to make friends. Like I was like, I can't do it. And so I feel like I finally started coming out of my shell like the past couple months, but I've lived here since November. So I was like, oh, slowly but surely.
No, I think that's pretty normal for any new place you go to. I mean, there's that balance between wanting to network and meet new people, but also like, you know, kind of like keep yourself safe and not like be like blindsided by like what you don't understand yet, you know, or whatnot.
Exactly, yeah. And Vegas, like when you don't live in Vegas, Vegas seems bigger than it actually is. Like moving here, I was like, oh, like it's just like a normal like place.
That's so true. Like Vegas is such a small city.
Yeah.
And people don't realize, like they think like, okay, Las Vegas is all like big and grand, but it's really not. It's so small. It's such a small city. Pretty much everyone knows everyone. Like to get from North Las Vegas to South Las Vegas is 1 hour.
Yeah.
Like max.
Yeah.
You know? Could be less if you're driving, if there's no traffic.
Yeah.
And like I just think to get from like top to bottom, side to side, like within an hour, it's just shows like how small of a city it is, but like very tight knit. You know, like I said, everybody knows everybody, and I mean, for the most part, a lot of people just come by like vacationing, you know. So
exactly.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That is true. Like half of the people you'll never see again, and half of the people you're gonna see probably like once a week.
Exactly. That's like the perfect description.
So like, we got Chateau Ste. Michelle Riesling. Guys, we're in our wine era again. I feel like I haven't had wine on the pod in forever. It's good, right?
It's really good. Right? Yeah, I really like it. I love Riesling. I love red wine with steak. I kind of strayed away from like the super sweet wines like Moscato or Stella Rosa. I feel like that's like childish. Sorry to anybody that's still drinking that, but it has way too much sugar. Like it was like, it would taste good, but then I would suffer such a severe vicious headache because of the amount of sugar, and I can't do that in my grown age anymore.
No, I feel that. I feel like Moscato and Stella are like gateway drugs for becoming a wine drinker, because literally I used to only drink Moscato during 2020. Whenever me and my friends had fake IDs, we would just pour bottles of wine into our hydro flask and we would take it to school or dude, it was bad. We could go through like a whole bottle in like an hour. So we would fill up like 3 hydro flasks, like one with red, one with Moscato.
Oh my God. Wait, like, so would you like be kind of like lit in school?
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you ever do that?
No.
Really?
I never did that.
Did you go to high school in Miami too?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Miami,
Yeah.
and it was like college readiness high school, so very preppy, very kind of strict. Like, there's no fighting, no drugs, no gangs, no anything, just very like straight to the point. A lot of like other high academic or performing like, you know, students,
Yeah.
and there was just God, I couldn't imagine like just coming ever drunk to school. It never occurred to me. I was
Yeah.
also an athlete though, so I cared a lot about taking care of my body. I didn't actually
Yeah.
start drinking until I was 21.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
it was school, practice, work. You know, I started working
Yeah.
pretty young, so there's no time for me to get drunk.
Yeah.
Really.
And you did track too, right?
I ran track.
She ran track, guys. Y'all know I'm obsessed with track.
I was a hurdler, so
That's so impressive.
yeah, all throughout elementary, high school, and college.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's so funny. I feel like if I went to a normal college prep school, because my first 3 years of high school were in like, I don't know if I've told you, it was like a private, all girls, Catholic college prep school.
No wonder you're
Gay. Yeah, no.
shucks.
Yeah, but like I like can relate to you because I did track from kindergarten to my senior year of high school, and then I did the college prep school for my first 3 years. But I had such a hatred for like private school. I feel like I did not like it at all. So when I transferred, I finally convinced my mom to transfer me to public school my senior year. It was only because we finally like got our first house as a family. So I was like, don't you want me to go to school like now that y'all got this house? And she was like, okay, like you can transfer. And I was still very much into track. I would do it, but I feel like a part of me was like living out all of those repressed years at once. So it was like going to school with wine and a hydro flask, but then going to practice after, taking pre-workout, then going to work at Buffalo Wild Wings from like 6 to like 11 at night, going home, doing homework, and then waking up at 8. I don't know how I used to do it. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I think back into those years, although I wasn't really big into, I just really didn't have the time, and I really grew up in a super strict household.
Yeah.
And but when I look back to like my college years where I have like more freedom, and I did experiment with like drugs and alcohol and all of that, I mean, it was the same. I think that when you're becoming like an adult, those years are so difficult. You know, you're finding yourself, you're trying to figure out what to do, and like 9 out of 10 times, like I feel like the ages within like 15 to 20, like you're just like thinking you have to have things figured out, or you're thinking about your next step. I think most people, and that mixture of like also drowning yourself from like all the stressful high school years, or living with your parents, or you know, being like under somebody else's household, and all of that. I think back, I'm like, how the hell did I do it? Like, how did I indulge in all these activities and like substances and like make it out alive? So definitely understand, but it came a little more in my later years, you know, where I think that, you know, inevitably, like when you start doing things a little younger, it can like make or break you. Like some people grow out of it faster, which is awesome, but then some others like get stuck, you know? So it's really like individual, you know?
It's definitely tricky. It's like a hard balance. When I think about like the struggles I have now, like I get upset about them, but like honestly, in hindsight, like I would take my struggles now versus my high school ones any day, because I have the freedom to decide like how I handle it, you know what I mean? But I feel like I was part of the like started young crowd, not as young as some people that I know. By like sophomore year of high school, I had already like been drinking at parties, smoking weed and all that stuff. And then now like I go out, but it's like if I'm not out, then like I don't want to do anything. I have a little planner right there, and it says like have fun.
No, that's amazing. No, that's important. I mean, I think everything ties to balance in life because I'm not really I've never enjoyed drinking. Like I never had a drinking phase. Yeah, I like to socially drink because sometimes I enjoy the flavors of like a single cocktail, maybe two, and like how that like, opens you up a little bit, to get deeper into like your comfortability or conversation but I've never had a phase where I enjoyed drinking or I looked forward to it. It was more of like a drag or a push for me. So I mean, it's just different for everyone. Like those moments that you're saying, like to have fun, like I tell myself that all the time. But then you ask yourself, like, does it really entail like putting your body through like, trauma or pain or dehydration or, all of that. And not always, but there's a moment for everything, like there's a place and time for everything. And I think balance is like my biggest thing that I tell myself. So
wait, I love how like eloquently you say everything. I just have to say that. But I definitely completely agree with that. And I feel like, first of all, guys, if you're not watching, Emily has amazing skin. She literally told me today that she could wash her face with a soap bar and she'll be fine. Who knows? Maybe it could be because you've taken care, like such precious care of your body, you know what I mean? Whereas I feel like I started that somewhat recently in the past like 1 to 2 years. But like when I was younger, everyone in my family is like very like tiny. I would say all my family is like pretty naturally pretty. And they kind of had this mentality of like take care of yourself, but you can get away with a lot. So when I was a teenager, I would just be like, I can get away with it. Like, I can get away with it. And like, I'm so glad I stopped that because I can already see an improvement in my skin and my body, in my hair, in my life. And I'm like, wow, like, even if you think you can get away with it, you can't. No, maybe you don't see it visually, but like, you see the difference when you like tone it down a little bit.
yeah, I don't really have any like genuine advice on the whole skin thing because I really do feel like I think a big part of it is what you put in your body, but then another part of it I do believe like could be genetic because I have met a lot of people that, do everything right like on paper and like suffer, through skin issues or acne or and eczema and all of that. And what I will say though is that through like my new profound like practices and meditation, there is a belief and there is a practice out there that you could change literally anything physically like through how you're mentally thinking about it. It takes like a lot of like practice and intention and focus, but it might help somebody, out there.
I love this. This is literally a 180 from my hungover episode last week. And guys, I'm so aware of the juxtaposition. Like, don't come at me. But that's such a good note to like actually kind of like tell your bio a little bit. So Emily is an amazing, amazing 5-star realtor in Las Vegas. She's also, I would say, like real estate investor as well too, property owner, and you're not even 27. You're like,
I'm 25.
she's literally 25, not even 26, like not even in the other half of the 20s, right in the middle. Does it resonate with you, or do you feel like any sort of like imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I actually used to talk about imposter syndrome a lot. And I think that anybody that has big goals and views themselves in this bigger lens that they may not be in the moment, like goes through that. I think it's inevitable. And I think it's like, if you don't feel a little bit of it, then like, are your goals and dreams like really that big for yourself? And I definitely knew like who I am right now. I visualized so much in the past.
I love that.
And like every moment that it took to get to this point, I had that. I had imposter syndrome 100% because I wasn't that person. Like I knew that she existed in some dimension, but I wasn't that person yet. And I think that that's like a big thing about imposter syndrome. Like you know it, but you don't fully believe it yet. and
Yeah.
you need to feel it and claim it and believe it, to get rid of that. And I think that like your mind will always clock negative easier than it clocks positive.
Yeah.
And it's just a practice of habit, like getting yourself out of that.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of time, and it's a craft that I'm still perfecting, but I have definitely come a long way with it. And yeah, I mean, as far as like where I am at right now in life, to be completely honest, as proud and happy as I am, it does feel like a little bit lonely at times,
Yeah.
because I do consider myself like a high achieving person, and I have always been that way as well. And that's not, especially like throughout like my 20s, and I'm right in the middle of it. It's not something that I've had a lot of other friends relate to. They want to like go out, they want to live in dorms, or like have like their slow and steady college experience. And I was just like, I shot right out. Like I started working immediately in high school. Like I'm the oldest of four, so I think that played a big part in like what clicked in my brain as to like why I need to be successful, why I need to be successful now.
Yeah.
And I'm also a Virgo, so I think that says a lot in itself.
Yeah.
But like I said, I grew up in a very strict environment, and I 100% attribute who I am 100% to like my upbringing and my environment.
Yeah.
As difficult and as much as I hated it as a kid, obviously it got me to where I'm at now, and that's something I can never take away from like my past and like my parentals. And they sucked, but I'm here.
Oh my gosh, you said so many like amazing things. I like making a list in my head, and I'm like, she said this, she said this, she said this. I need to like touch on every single one. So the first part that I want to touch on is how you talked about how it can get lonely, not to like be cliche, but lonely at the top, like how people say that. But I know that a lot of women, especially nowadays, that women are like becoming way more high achieving than like we have in past years, especially like minority women. And I feel like a lot of them, regardless of like your sexual orientation, like you feel like no one can like match my swag when it comes to that. Like I feel like no one's gonna like really be an equal to me. They're either gonna drain me or they're gonna take advantage of me. So like how do you deal with that, like in friendships and relationships?
By like failing, I failed so much. I got taken advantage so much. Like the first like pivotal moments that I can think of in the past, like of failed friendships, failed relationships with even with just family, my parents, like significant people in my life. I had to really sit back and reflect and not become a bitter person. I think that when things are like happening to you, I know so many people that just say like, oh, I'm cursed, or I'm unlucky, or this things don't work out for me, or and I've never been that type of person. I've always wanted to understand like why, what could I have done better, like why did this fall apart, the other person's perspective, my perspective. That's something I really do admire about myself, in a sense. Like I will sit there and try to put myself in another person's shoes. Like
That's big. Not a lot of people do that.
yeah, and it's a blessing and a curse, because sometimes like I do give them the benefit of the doubt that may not even be true,
Yeah.
And yeah, I've had people like steal money from me. I've had people like when I was in college, I have always had that like business mentality, and since I was working at a very young age, by 18 years old I was already getting approved to apartments, because like I already had 2+ years of work history.
Exactly.
And back then the prices were so different. I actually remember living in Orlando, Florida, a 3-bedroom apartment. It was in the hood, but it was still an apartment.
Yeah.
And I was paying like $13.50. Like,
Oh my God.
and
That used to be how Texas used to be like that. You could do that so easily, but not anymore.
Yeah, so I was going to college, working 2 jobs, but I was thinking, I'm like, okay, I got approved to this apartment. I can rent out each bedroom for $600 each. That's $1,200. My rent would be like nothing. Like I pay like $200-$300, like utilities, whatever. Save my money, and then that's how I got like a bigger place next time. Did the same thing, started renting out to tenants. But I was so nice to people, and I trusted people so much in the very beginning that I was renting out rooms without contracts. I was renting out rooms without deposits. I was, I was just trusting people, other college peers and friends to, house them and have like a situation where they don't have to like, get their credit checked and all of that. And I did have that specific situation bite me in the ass. Like I ended up just being a complete landlord to the property and like moving myself out so I can make money from all the bedrooms. And behind my back, like other people were staying, animals were staying, like walls and furniture and things were just getting messed up. People weren't paying rent and I couldn't do anything about it because I didn't have a contract. And it's like I failed so many times to learn exactly how I could have prevented that and do better next time. And like now that I am still a property manager and I do real estate, I have every contract and lease
like,
written out, like addendums, like everything that I could possibly need to save my ass. But it took failing. It absolutely took failing. That's why like it's a beautiful thing, and that's why whenever I have my friends or people like tell me like, oh, I hate that I messed up or I fucked up, I'm like, no, the fact that you acknowledge that is so beautiful. Actually, that's like this is the moment that's going to like take you to the next level. And I love that perspective because there's no growing, there's no changing without failing. Like one of my favorite quotes is, a champion is a loser that never quit.
Ah, I love that.
We're all fucking losers.
Yeah.
But it's the ones that don't quit that really come on top,
Yeah, exactly. Wait, stop. I'm inspired on so many levels right now because like I feel like I'm trying to like get to my journey of like that exact mindset. It's actually because I feel like I grew up with people with so much privilege too that I just felt like I'm fucking like cursed. Why does this bad thing keep happening? Why does this happen? You know what I mean? And I was like internalizing it bad. It was like crippling me to where like I would start things that I would give up, then I would start again, then I would give up, then I would start again, then I'd give up. In a weird like rodeo of like battling myself. I just didn't want to like get hurt again. But like even in doing that, I still ended up getting fucked over. Like, even trying to prevent getting fucked over, I still was getting fucked over, like, by people or things, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, you can't, like, protect yourself from it. You just have to, like, be able to, like, roll with the punches, which it seems like you've been able to overcome them or get ahead of them, too.
Yeah, like, the first thing I thought about when you just mentioned that, like, if it takes you 1,000 times to fuck up and, like, like, learn something, like, comparison will always cloud the call you have on your own life. And like it doesn't matter if it took one person 10 tries and you 1,000 tries. Like it's just not your journey. It's just not your story. You know what I mean? Like I think that life is a continuous journey of coming back to yourself because we do all these things and we try all these things and we are finding ourselves. And it's like one of like my favorite analogies is like we're fireflies like in a pond and we have like our lily pad and we might fly away and visit another lily pad or go somewhere else, but like and you get lost or you may not like it, but it's like that continuous journey of coming back to yourself and coming back to your home base and like reminding yourself of like who you are. When you are focused on that, there's really no failing.
Yeah. Wait, I love this. Did you get this mindset on your own? Or like, I know that you had mentioned before that you went to like a retreat that you said that you really loved. How do you kind of like transform into that mindset?
Yeah, I definitely feel like what you experience is a direct impact of what you feel. And like, also, you can't think what you don't feel.
Yeah.
So all of your thoughts are revolved around like what you're feeling. So it's like when you focus on like that feeling of love, success, health, abundance, like that reflects in your thoughts, which then reflect in your 3D dimensional life, And my mom was Christian and my dad was atheist. So I had a really kind of like split upbringing because on one end I was going to church and I was like learning some sort of spiritual connection to God, and then on the other end I literally had my dad in my ear telling me like that's all bullshit, like this is the facts, this is science, this is we're in a new age, like that's like da 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 da. And I am very like logistical, science-backed, rational type of person by nature. And there was a point in my life where I was like, yeah, it's like religion doesn't really make sense to me. And no matter how I cut the cookie, it just doesn't make sense. And I became on my own at 17, moved out of my house, and I, for a while, didn't have belief in anything really but myself in a sense. I'm like, I just have to work for what I want, have to survive, figure it out, and that's that. And I did feel like a void in my life at the time. Like, I don't know what it was, but there was some sort of void. And I would say, like, the biggest kind of turning point in my life was when I found the practices of Dr. Joe Dispenza. So he's a neuroscientist slash chiropractor slash, like, philosopher,
He does it all.
doctor, and he's written a lot of books. And I had found one of his books when I started living on my own. Like, you kind of are forced to like jump into this like self-exploration like stage in your life, because when you live on your own, or when you're on your own, like you have a lot of alone time. You have a lot of like time with just yourself. And I had to learn how to be okay with that, and I had to start learning about myself and what I want. And I wasn't no longer living under anybody's roof and so forth, right? And I started doing self-exploration through like reading and all of that. And I really try to think back at like if anybody told me about the book, or if I had just, if it just divinely came to me. I can't remember. It was back in 2020, I believe, or 2019. And I was reading his books, and that was the first time in my life I had like an aha moment. And I just like everything clicked for me. Like I had no longer, it's not even like a religious book or anything, but I no longer felt atheist. I felt like I had just had this new profound perspective on life and how my mind affects the rest of my life and my body. And I dove really deep into it. And so it's been like the past 5 years of involving myself in a new perspective. And I recently, for the first time since I started reading his books, went to his meditation retreat. It's kind of pricey, so it took me a while, but there's no price to the work, really. Like after that, it's kind of like when you're on drugs and you're like on this amazing high of like enlightenment. And when I got home, I was just like, I didn't want that to end, It was so amazing. But basically in his practices, he talks, it is science-based. It's neuroscience, it's neurology, and he talks about the logistics of that and how it affects the rest of our body and our reality and what we perceive and what we experience. And it's a hard pill to swallow. It is, when you start reading his books and his practices, because a big part of it is like every single thing that happens in your life, good and bad, is 100% caused by you, whether you like it or not, down to the people that have hurt you, down to the experience that don't work out for you.
Literally, I felt my heart go when you just said that sentence.
A lot of people live in like a victim mindset. A lot of people. That's like the number one thing to overcome. The number one thing I think for any like successful person is realizing that like everything that happens, good and bad, is like 100% in your control. And that was hard for me because I did exist in a very like victim mindset, like majority of my childhood, up until, because I'm the oldest, I had like older sibling syndrome, and I grew up too fast, and I was always resentful. I was like, I didn't get to enjoy my freaking childhood, man. Like I'm like working, taking care of kids as a kid, and like I had a lot of pain and hurt and victimization in my life. And a lot of people would say like they would as well, like it wasn't like being and existing in that mindset and in that frequency was just never gonna, it was only gonna continue that reality for me, So I just I kind of full send it with like I'm a heavy meditator now, and I think that it's a very important piece of my life and how I even became successful, not just like financially, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and it's reflected in everything in my life. So
no, I love that you said that, because like I mean all the time we see people who are like financially successful, but if you're not mentally successful along with it, how successful really are you? Because you're not even at like a clarity point to actually enjoy your life. But like being an oldest sibling, I can like heavily relate to, because I am the oldest sibling. There's parts of it that make you really strong, and there's parts of it that I love about myself, like how you said like I just full sended it. Like that's kind of like how I felt like getting out of the house, like job by 16, gone by 18, across the country by 20 years old, and then now here at 23. So part of me loves it, you know what I mean? And like even my mom will call me and she's like, you see, like compared to other people, like you did so great. But then a part of sometimes hearing that makes me resentful, because also the things that I didn't like is what pushed me there. And like I've carried a lot of resentment, even just like as an oldest sibling. But like I guess like sometimes, I don't know if you feel this way, but like even seeing like my childhood in comparison with like my younger siblings, especially when I was like younger, like 18, 19, like I was like so resentful. And I mean, honestly, the word is pissed, kind of like woe is me in a way. And I do still like have a soft spot for all oldest daughters, because you didn't choose to be born first and all that stuff, and it's so hard. But like, how was growing up as the oldest like for you?
One thing I could never take away is I've never hated it.
Yeah.
Was it a difficult experience and role? Absolutely. But I think in comparison to all my siblings, well, I have 3 sisters.
I
and
love that.
I think in comparison to like all of us, I'm like, I can't imagine any one of us being it but me. You know, like this role was definitely for me. And I take my oldest sibling role with a lot of pride. And I actually really like I'm very grateful now that I'm the one that has gotten to feel and experience, you know, to lead the way and to show them, you know, I'm here to fuck up first. Can I curse?
Yeah. Oh, you can. Guys, she asked if we can curse. No, the teasers cuss all
here.
the time.
I'm the teasers. That's so cute. Yeah, no, I love and I'm so appreciative now that I'm here to mess up first. I rather me than them. Like I'm definitely like a protector in that sense, and I like to lead in that sense. And I think that's pretty much what has kind of evolved me to be a very dominant female, which has been like a blessing and a curse, because again, like feeling very lonely. But I'm very much a protector. I'm very much like I like to guide, I like to lead, I like to mentor, and I mean that's like what an older sibling does, you know. And at first, we all have those like, oh, I didn't ask for this, but I have. You know, I've fallen in love with my life. I've fallen in love with like all the good and bad. And you know what you were mentioning about like, you know, you doing what you did as a result of your experiences. Yeah, sure. I thought that 100%. Like, oh, I wouldn't be living in the hood. I wouldn't be struggling. I wouldn't be having 3 jobs. But holy shit, like look where I'm at now. Like I've really grown to love every single struggle, you know. It's genuinely taught me something, and it's built me up. And it's like, as cliche as that sounds, like it's been so true. And I think that I never thought from somebody that hated and resented their upbringing so much that I would fall so in love with it. And now I can like truly tell you that like if I had to choose it all over again, I would. And I think that, I mean, to me, like I can't believe those words that come out of my mouth, you know. It was definitely like an abusive upbringing, and like I was on my own a lot, and like I victimized myself so much, like from being in that mindset to being in love. Like, to me, it's so special.
Okay, like, y'all see what I'm talking about? Everyone's, like, falling in love with you. Everyone's like, is she single? Also, Emily is single, just so y'all know. And she's gay. What has dating been like for you, too? Like, because I know that you've been single for 2 years. What has, like, dating been like? Do you, like, ever have, like, talking stages, or...
I feel like because I'm such a private person, like I keep a very private social media, that a lot of people don't even know what I'm capable of, or like what I do in my life, or they'll just see me in the streets and think like I don't know, maybe I'm some regular girl, but and like I don't put myself in a pedestal at any shape or form at all, but I do like have like very high ambition in my life, and I never say never. Like I have a very spontaneous, as much as I'm very like structured, I do have a spontaneous mentality in the aspect of the world is ours. We can do whatever we want at whatever point. Like let's make it happen, you know? And I think that, I don't know, I don't feel like people take me seriously, to be completely honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Like that makes me so upset. Like you feel
No,
like they
it's
just
fine.
like kind of like, wow. I feel like I've had that feeling with friendships for sure. I feel like none of my friends have ever taken me seriously. And none of my close ones in my life. I feel like one thing that I like about Kai that like made me fall in love with him is that Kai takes me seriously. And like that's so new for
And believes in
me.
you.
Yeah.
Since I've been in Las Vegas, I really don't feel like I've had a dating scene. I don't think that
Yeah.
there's a really big queer community out here, for one. It took me a long time. I
Yeah.
didn't know what my type was, and I wouldn't even really say that I have one. All I know is that, like, what I'm looking for in a person,
Yeah.
while still also understanding what I am attracted to as well. And I think that since I've always been a very dominant, hardworking woman,
Yeah.
I in the past, like because of social constructs, defaulted thinking like, okay, it would have to be like a masculine woman to like
Yeah.
match that.
Yeah.
But masks are actually so
They're babies.
soft.
Yeah, most of them are babies. Looking for a mask doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna like get that. It's just same as like if you're a straight and you're looking for a man. You know how many girls end up babying their man instead? Like they have a full son now, but that always happens.
I've been mommy way too much. Like I'm so that's why I've been so in love with being alone, because I coming from like divorced parents, like I rushed into relationships at a young age because I wanted to prove to myself
Yeah.
that I can have a healthy, long-lasting relationship, and I'm having like this mature like like advanced mentality at like 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I had to learn that like when you get upset with somebody, or,
Yeah.
you know, if you've ever had a failed relationship and you get upset with them
Yeah.
because they're like not living up to like your expectations, like I had to learn that like that's merely just a projection of what I would do in their shoes. And I
Yeah.
couldn't be upset with people over that, and I had to learn that because I was like I saw so much in
The
people
potential, and you're like, why don't you unlock it?
exactly. And then I had to really like sit with myself and be like, you know, you have to accept people for what they show you now. You can have all the belief and all the, you know, faith and like, you know, for them and their potential. But I was letting myself down because I was, you know, projecting what I would do in their shoes. And if when they didn't live up to those expectations, like I felt let down. But in reality, like I'm just like this, like, high functioning like person that was really needed to just chill the fuck out and live their age. And I didn't do that for such a long time that I had, you know, a few failed relationships in my past because I'm like ready to buy a house and I want to work all this much and I want to like, you know, play house with somebody, and like they're just like, bro, I'm like 18, 19, 20 years old. You know what I mean? Like, and looking back at it now, I feel so bad. Like if you're
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if you're an ex of mine, like I love you, I'm sorry, but like no, there's not too many. I've had like I would say
Yeah.
two past relationships that
That's
have not
crazy.
worked out for those reasons. Just me being like super like ambitious and wanting so
Yeah.
much more in life and like not really stopping to smell the roses. And like I've actually learned to like fault myself and my own for that, you know, because I'm like, you know, they're just in their journey living their right age and whatever their purpose is, and here I
Yeah.
am projecting, you know, what I want mine to be onto somebody else. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to take my time and step away from that. And, you know, when you align yourself with what you like to do and what makes you happy, you know, I do have faith that, you know, that person would just come from those things.
Yeah. No, I love that. I don't have like previous relationships how we talked about before. I kind of got the opposite of you. Instead of like longing for love, I like resented love. I don't know, I had a weird mindset. I was like, everything bad that happens in people's lives is because like they fell in love. Like my friends were in terrible relationships. Like my friends were in such bad relationships growing up, like my high school friends, my college friends. I watched like my mom struggle with relationships, and I was just like, there's a common denominator and it's a relationship, so I'm avoiding that. So instead, what happens naturally, I feel like, is you try to avoid something and you end up going way too deep into another type of thing. So like my thing, as you'll know, like was friendships a lot, and like I would dive, like I would pretty much be dating my friends, honestly. Like it was dating, but we didn't call it that. It was a bad dynamic because it's like we're both trying to like play out childhood issues, and we're like trying to have the other person solve them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me, I like I've always wanted to, I didn't step into like my femininity until I was like older. Like I actually enjoy being a feminine woman now, where in the past, like I like thought because of like how much charge I had in my life and like how I just felt like I needed to be the one to wear the pants, that like kind of confused me, thinking that I had to like be masculine in a sense. And like I naturally took that approach in relationships where I'm like, you know, I do cook and I do clean like because I like it, but I did do those things and like, you know, be the one to like make all the plans or order whatever needs, you know, like just be the one in charge. And I wasn't allowed to step into my femininity because of that. And again, that was another reason why I feel like I thought maybe I had to be with like a masculine person. I think now, like, I realize that, like, I think a balance of, like, as weird as it may sound, but maybe, like, someone like yourself, like, I don't know, like, a dominant feminine person would be, like,
Yeah.
ideal. But, like, I don't know. I'm actually, like, I don't like to, like, I'm so versatile that I don't like to really place myself in any box.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate somebody that's in touch with their feminine side and but has a fucking grip on life and like
Exactly.
with themselves though as
Yeah.
well. And I think like the queer community can be very deceiving in a sense because people don't present themselves how they
Maybe
are
actually are.
internally. So you have to really like
Get
figure
to
this
know
out and
people.
get to know people. It takes time.
That is so
And
true.
I'm taking my time.
No, you
So
should. No, because I'm telling you, like, if any of y'all are like, oh my god, I want to date girls, because people always say that, like, it's so much easier. Like, it's not. I've had friends, everything like that. They look a certain way, and you may think they're the certain way. Get to know them, complete opposite. I have met a lot of masculine, or like masculine presenting people that like sometimes have felt like they had to present that way because of like similar things that you said. You know what I mean? For me, I was kind of like, okay, like my mental like place was like I know like what kind of personality type I want. And so like my thing was always like I want like a masculine partner, but like I didn't care about the appearance really wise. I was more like someone who just like has more of that like rough around the edges because I'm very feminine, you know what I mean? But then I'm also like I'm very like dominant in a way, and like I can be like, as many people have called me, I can be a bitch. Like I'm very like if I want things this way, it's gonna be this way. I want to do this. This is on my time. Like I need my freedom. And so I was like, I don't know how I did it, but I felt like I like came up with like the perfect personality in my head, and then I kind of just like waited for it to come to me in a way. It's so weird. There's no recipe for it, but like I think like coming up with a personality trait is so much more like efficient than coming up with an appearance.
yeah, absolutely. You
Yeah.
manifested your perfect person. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I just had frustrated myself in the past, like being in those like positions of like masculinity and not being able to like really like be vulnerable or unleash parts of myself that wanted to so badly. And I think that whenever I meet somebody that just allows me to completely feel myself and not having to like hide or tuck those things away is when
Yeah.
I'll know.
Yeah, especially like being the oldest, like you kind of need someone to like. It's hard to bring out your soft side. I feel like you know that you're with the right person when you could kind of like very comfortably bring that out.
Well, yeah, I feel like when it comes to like dominant women specifically,
Yeah.
like we're women and we have like that submissive side naturally, but like at least for me, I'm so like so much of a go-getter and I'm so much of like I like to solve my own problems first. Like I don't like to cry or like, you know, I'm such a problem solver that sometimes I like overdo it. Like I am trying to do 1,001 things for myself. And I think that when I have that person that like allows me to, you know, unleash that masculine and feminine side of myself that likes to
Yeah.
like, you know, take care of things or problem solve or be somewhat in control, but like knows when to step in when necessary, when I'm like very clearly burning myself out, very clearly like, you know, like doing more than I can and be able to like step in when necessary, but also like
Yeah.
allow me to like have that individuality. Like I think that would be ideal.
Yeah. No, I literally want that for you so bad.
But I think what I have had to become like wary of is that, you know, you'll know when somebody's just trying to be enabled, or when
Yeah.
somebody is truly trying to be better.
That's
And
a
I
good
think that that's like something that I really had to learn, like, you know, with like their words and their actions, mainly their actions,
Yeah.
does this person like truly want to be better, and like, they're taking like, my energy and my knowledge because of that, or do they just want me to fucking do it for them? And that's something that I wasn't able to like distinguish in the past.
Me neither. I feel like in a weird way, I'm like at a point to where like not to be like all cliche and shit, but I feel like for a long time I was like coasting through life and just like letting life happen to me. I feel like this year I'm like finally starting to like wake up. I guess my naivety is gone, is actually what it is. And like a part of me, like I was very naive at points and I kind of miss it sometimes because I saw life as like so beautiful. I thought everyone was so beautiful. Like I just thought, literally my mindset was like, oh my God, we can all like date each other and like we'll all be one happy family. Like I thought that with everyone. I feel like that's like gone and I kind of like can see things through like actual clear lenses, and like there's a beauty to that. And then sometimes I like mourn like how I used to be, but then I feel like way more safe how I am now because I feel like less just like vulnerable in a way too.
I think that, like I said, like you're only going to experience life based off of like what you're feeling. And I
Yeah.
think that, we do evolve as people, and like our different ways of mindset like result in different, things that we experience. And I think that if you miss certain parts of that, I
Yeah.
mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is balance, like
Yeah.
implementing what you want, what you know now with like your clear lens, and how you feel a little more secure and safer with yourself, with a balance of that, loving lens that you saw the
Yeah.
world and people in. And I think that that might create really beautiful things for you.
Yeah. What was your major in school?
Business management.
Literally, I was gonna guess like psychology or something.
No, actually, I wasn't always so wise, or I mean, I'm still learning how to
Yeah.
be wise, but there's just like very foundational things in my life that just clicked. It's like, miserable people do miserable things, like, and
Yeah.
just, unhappy people have unhappy lives. And it's just like very, like, I think kind of like 2+2 type of like mentalities that like I really, really just got through my head. And that's one
Yeah.
of them, like,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, guys, we're gonna do a tease me questions, stories, and advice. Okay, Emily, I had some people write in questions. If you have encountered friends who are jealous of your success, how did you handle that?
I really can't really handle that at all in my life, because that it brings you down so much more than you realize. And even just the thought of someone like just hoping for your next failure, your next downfall, I think speaks volume. And I really, really prioritize making sure that I'm in a room full of other people that are like-minded, and that does aid towards my success in life, because I want everybody to win. I want all my friends to win. I'm constantly doing whatever I can to like help or teach or, aid in whatever sort of way. And if I don't have that same, energy in return, like, it's just not really something like negotiable in my life anymore.
I love that. That's the best advice I think you could have given, because I feel like you really just can't be around people who envy you in a way. Like it's one thing to admire, but to envy.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to. Like, if you're my friend, you're enjoying and experiencing everything that I am as well. I'm sharing everything. I've never been the type of person where I'm constantly treating my friends to like, treats and dinners and experiences and flights. And like, I just bought a flight for one of my friends to come to LA Pride, and like, because so it's like, I mean, I don't understand why there would be any envy, because if there's like a genuine friendship where I care about you and you care about me, like you're gonna feel that.
Exactly.
And you're gonna experience that as well.
Yeah, I love that's the perfect answer. The last question I have for you is, should I stay living with my family and save up, or move out to have more freedom? She's 20 years old.
I always tell people that if they have the opportunity to live with their family and they co-live, well with their family, absolutely. That's like the best way, especially in this like economy, to save money. Some people don't get to experience that. And, if it is at the cost of your mental sanity, or you feel like you can't evolve as a person because of your environment, then I absolutely say, like, you know, get up and see what's next for you. But if you have a good relationship with your family or whoever you're living with, and they are, you know, aiding towards your success and supporting your hopes and dreams and goals, 100%, you know, stay in there and save every single penny you can.
No, I completely agree. You're right in this economy. And then I've like seen people where they have just a beautiful family life, like through and through. And they have a nice house where they get like their own privacy too. And I'm like, I would be living there. Like, if I were you, like, I love that. Like, some people move out because they have to, others because they want to. But if you don't feel like you have to or want to, what's the point?
You'll know if you need to or not. If you feel that you're just like in this stuck place that you cannot evolve and that you cannot, you know, improve as a person, by all means, you know, take that leap of faith. Like like we were talking about before, like this, I think life in general is a high risk, high reward type of situation. You're never going to really know, you know, what's in store for you until you go after it.
Yeah. I love that. When you come back, you have to come back on the pod and update us. She's going to Madrid.
I'm going to be in Madrid Pride, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
I, like, want to know what everyone looks like.
Yeah, I should put, like, a little GoPro on my head.
Thank you so much for coming on, Emily.
Thank you.
Oh, guys, thank you so much for listening. It was so good being back with a special guest. You're the first guest that I've had on since I lived in Seattle. Like, besides Kai, but yeah.
Well, it's amazing. Well, I you're just amazing, sweet, like divine soul, and I appreciate you having me on here.
Of course.
And we'll definitely be back.
Yes, you will be back. Guys, be sure to follow the Instagram at Tease Pod. Do you want them to follow you?
No, follow Tease Pod all the way.
Do you want to drop yours or no?
I don't even know what mine is.
Virgo Views,
but without the I think.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna tag Emily. That way, especially if you're buying a house in Vegas, she's got you. And then I am at Aleya Antoine. Please be sure to rate the show 5 stars on Spotify and Apple. Please, please, please subscribe on YouTube. Write in your questions, stories, and advice. And I will see you next Tease Tuesday. I love you guys. Bye.